Welcome to this week's episode of Hockey Unfiltered. I am Dylan Waugh, the sidekick, the either Daryl or his other brother Daryl to Ken's Larry. This week we're going to be talking about the Vancouver Canucks, the Pittsburgh Penguins, Team Canada, and if you're the GM of a contending team, who's the UFA you go for? So stick around and we'll get to all of those and much more. Ken, how are we holding up this week?
Oh, just great. I saved a bundle switching over to Geico, so
not affiliated, not affiliated, not affiliated, not affiliated. Yeah. Geico, call us if you want.
Yeah.
If you want these and other.
Yes, because we're very progressive.
Yes.
Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, you want to just jump right into it?
No, I'd rather not. What
that
am
was
I
a
doing
king
here?
of, that was a King of the Hill joke. He goes, I'll jump right into it. No, I'll beat around the bush. So, how's the weather today? All right, we're jumping right into it.
Okay, let's do it.
Sidney Crosby had a goal and an assist in his first 7 games. Since then, he's scored 10 goals and 32 points in 23 games. Oh, that's a lot, eh?
That's yeah. He's good, eh?
Yeah. This just in, Sidney Crosby good at hockey.
Yeah.
In that same time span, the Penguins are 18-4-1. Should we be surprised with Crosby and the Penguins once again showing up as a potential contender?
No, we shouldn't. Yes, we should, but we shouldn't.
Okay.
Because for like the last 3 years, ever since they won the Cup in 2017 and then lost 4 straight to the Islanders in the playoffs the next year in 2018.
Yeah.
Like every year I've been saying, okay, well, here it is. The day of reckoning has come.
Yeah.
This team is done. They're on the downside. You know, they're going to crash into the abyss and here we go. And they never do it.
You're not the only person saying that. They just never do it. Like
guys like Brian Dumoulin, like guys who are like put together with balls of string and tape.
Yeah.
At this point in their career are still playing great. And
yeah.
I mean, Sid had COVID and he was injured at the beginning of the year.
Right.
So I think that's a big part of it as well.
Yeah.
But did you see the pass he made to Brian Rust on that power play goal last night?
I didn't get a chance to go back and watch that.
Just do yourself a favor, everyone. Do yourself a favor and go look at that pass.
Yeah.
Like it was vintage Sidney Crosby.
Yeah.
And to
You're
me,
saying backhand.
Yeah, between the legs, backhand.
Oh, really?
Yeah, past a defender,
yeah.
Right onto Rust's stick.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that!
You've broken it.
Yeah, that's why I can't have nice things.
Yeah.
Anyways, and this is nice. So anyways, it was vintage Sidney Crosby. But I would say about the Pittsburgh Penguins, and I get a feeling that you're gonna refute me on this, which is fine.
Yeah.
But. They're healthy again.
Yeah.
Malkin's back.
Yeah.
And I think the difference this year between a lot of previous years is they're getting elite level goaltending.
Right.
Elite level goaltending.
Yeah.
And that can take you a long way.
Yeah.
I think the Penguins are definitely, I think they're absolutely for real.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. So breaking headline. Nerd says nerdy things. All right.
Okay.
I looked up the Pittsburgh Penguins. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll do the Maury. Like the stats detector says you're lying. I looked up the Pittsburgh Penguins, and this is what I found concerning about the Pittsburgh Penguins. Okay. In the last 10 games, because they've been on a bit of a heater, right?
18-4-1. Yeah, I'd say that's a bit of a heater.
But I'm just saying that I looked only at the last 10 games, so I didn't bring in the beginning of the year when they were a little whatever. Anyways, in the last 10 games, they're the lower half of the league in Corsi for percentage, expected goals for percentage. I even tried scoring chances for per 60. Like I tried everything that I could to see how are they generating the offense. Oh, he's asleep. and the thing is that the only place where Pittsburgh is in the top 5 or 6 in the league is shooting percentage and save percentage, which means that they're winning based on burying a lot of pucks and saving a lot of pucks.
Wow! Holy cow! Who'd have thought it? Who'd have thought a team that could score and stop pucks would be successful? Oh, color me surprised. What?
But the thing is that if you get snake bitten, like it's the most unsustainable.
I'm gonna explain something to you, okay, Dylan?
Yeah.
The game is hockey.
Yeah.
Played on a rink.
Court of law.
The point of the game is to take that black thing called the puck and put it as many times as you can in the other guy's net.
Yeah.
And simultaneously prevent the other team from putting it in your net.
Okay.
And here's the crazy thing. If you do that and you put it in their net more than they put it in your net, you win the game.
Okay. All right. You think you've got me, but you're right. The game is hockey. The game is not golf. The objective of the game is not to shoot it as little as possible before it gets into that net. But I'm saying that they're setting up not very many scoring chances and converting on a lot of them. That's not the most sustainable thing in the world.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. I would say...
Because it's not golf.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. I thought I was going to be as funny as you, but I feel like
well, you're not.
You're not as good an audience as me. That's what the problem is.
See, and the thing is too, but like if you're, see, here, Dylan, I've got so much to teach you, right? If you wanted to make a joke out of that, you should have said, it's not golf, which is exactly what the Pittsburgh Penguins will be playing in May.
Oh.
That's how you bring it around and fire that punchline.
When I leave a joke on the table like that,
yeah,
and then you make that joke,
yeah,
self-dunk on you, all part of my master plan.
Okay. In all seriousness, though,
yeah, please. We're way past that point.
Yeah, I accept your point. I think it's valid.
Yeah. However,
I would like to see what their numbers were in 2016 and 2017 when they won the Stanley Cup. If they were sort of the same, because I know with those years, I mean, Matt Murray won 2 Stanley Cups, and there were times during those playoffs when he was brilliant, and there were times during those playoffs when he was dismal.
Right.
You know, I mean, so I'm not sure that the under the hood numbers were that great when they won Stanley Cups before. And what I'm arguing is that maybe even when you have elite level talent, world-class talent like they have, when you have an Evgeny Malkin, when you have a Sidney Crosby, when you have a Jeff Carter, when you have a Chris Letang, when you have a Tristan Jarry who's playing the way he is, maybe that is enough to overcome those kinds of numbers.
So, did you look this up? Were you on Natural Stat Trick before this? Did you set me up for this one?
Natural what?
Yeah. The Pittsburgh Penguins were 16th in the league in all situations for Corsi for percentage. So they did not have particularly good.
What year?
Corsi.
The year they won?
2016-17.
Okay.
Well, you're right.
The second
so I'm saying that you're right.
Second cup year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The second cup year. I can look up the first one.
So
but
to me,
point is valid.
I think there's something that we. Maybe the two of us can find some common ground here.
Nope.
Is that, yes, we can. Yes, we can, Dylan. Love, not hate, buddy. Maybe, like I said, maybe there's something to be said for numbers. Mm-hmm. And maybe there is something to be said. There is something to be said for analytics and for the deeper dive and that. But I think sometimes you have to make an allowance for world-class talent.
Right. Well, and that's why like the Leafs are ahead of Pittsburgh on the shooting percentage list, but like Austin Matthews is one of the top shooting percentage guys in the league, so it's not really that shocking. And as great as Crosby is, he's not as good a goal scorer, a pure goal scorer, as Austin Matthews is. I don't think that I'm
not at all. No, because there's almost nobody in the league that is. Yeah. I think just off the top of my head, and people can come after me after this, but the three most natural pure goal scorers in the league right now today are number one, it's still Alex Ovechkin. Number two, Austin Matthews. Number three, Cale Makar.
Ooh.
I think Cale Makar is one of the best natural goal scorers in the world, not just one of the best goal scoring defensemen. I think this guy has an ability to score goals that is uncanny.
Right.
Uncanny.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, that's it.
I'm trying to think of who I would put as number 3 in that list, but well, I'll probably just circle back to it.
I mean, what, you going to put Chris Kreider there because he has 30 goals this year?
No,
I guess. I don't know. I mean,
not a chance.
Yeah,
I never gave Chris Kreider credit for anything.
Oh, come on, Dylan. Come on, Dylan. Like, get over it.
Yeah.
Like, what? How many years ago was that? Was 2018?
Yeah. No, it was
2014.
2014. Yeah.
8 years ago, bud. Come on, let it go. Let it go.
The memory of an elephant right here, pal.
Let it go, Dylan. It's not good for you to carry that around.
I know. It's starting to make me slouch. It's affecting my posture and my health. You know?
Not good for you. And then there were 4. We're down to the final 4 in the NFL playoffs. And with my bookie, you can take home your biggest wins of the season thanks to their double deposit bonus. It's not too late. And it's easy. Sign up with MyBookie and use my promo code HockeyUnfiltered, all one word. Make your first deposit and bang, double your money instantly into your account up to $1,000. Now that you're loaded up and ready to go, it's time to place your bets with no regrets and get your wins when it matters most. Don't miss out. Rams, 49ers, Bengals, Chiefs, double your first deposit up to $1,000 and use the promo code HockeyUnfiltered, all one word. Head to MyBookie. Place your bets and get ready for the unmatched intensity of playoff football. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie.
Vancouver Canucks president Jim Rutherford is about to make Patrick Allvin just the second full-time European GM in NHL history. He's hired former agent Emily Costanguay as the team's assistant GM and Rachel Dory in the analytics department. The question here is it possible that the second oldest president in the NHL is the most progressive one?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I mean, Lou Lamoriello is older. He's 83. I still think of Jim Rutherford as a GM, but he's not, and he won't be for much longer, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, what I look at with Jim Rutherford is I look at the people who have worked under him and whom he's groomed.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you see Bill Guerin, you see Tom Fitzgerald, you see Jason Botterill. Didn't turn out so well, but, I mean, there's still a lot of time. And I mean, there have been coaches that have, like John Hines and Mike Sullivan and guys that they hired in their minor pros that have ended up all over the league. Mm-hmm. To me, I think, and I actually talked to Rachel last week, Rachel Dury, who was hired as the fourth person in their analytics department. Yeah. I think they want to make it 5 or 6 people in that department. Wow. So there you go.
Yeah.
Yay for the nerds.
Yeah.
And so, and what she said was, she was right. She said, like, the thing about Jim Rutherford is that he empowers people. He empowers people. He lets them do what they do best, right? And to me, Jim Rutherford he's not a cowboy. Like, I see David Poile as a cowboy.
Yeah, David Poile and Mark Bergevin were the two gunslingers.
David Poile's a cowboy. Like, he'll trade, Matt Duchene or Seth Jones for Matt Duchene. He'll trade Shea Weber for PK Subban. Like he makes these big, massive trades, and he's the cowboy. Like, he's But Jim, I see as a guy who has been successful. He's had, he's been around for a long time, so he should be winning a few cups here and there.
Yeah.
But he's successful because he makes up his mind. Mm-hmm. He's decisive, bold, and he doesn't look back, right?
Right.
Like, he does things, and when he does them without fanfare. He just does them very decisively, with conviction and very boldly. And then he sort of sees what happens. Yeah. Right. To me, it's really interesting because particularly the Emily Castonguay and Rachel Dury hirings. And it's interesting because I think Jim realizes this, and I think people will come to realize this, is that when you start looking to the pool of women that are out there that are hockey people and know this game and are business savvy and know all of these things. What you're doing when you go out and you start hiring right away and you're on the ground floor, you're getting the best ones.
Yeah.
Right? You're getting the best ones. Like Emily Castonguay is a big time agent. She's Alexis Lafreniere's agent. She's, she has been an agent for a while, and she knows the business. She knows the game. She knows the CBA. I personally, I think knowing the CBA is kind of overrated.
Yeah.
Everybody should know the CBA if you're a management. And a lot of people who know the CBA do a lot of stupid things anyways.
Yeah.
But she's the one.
Yeah.
So now you've got the best, conceivably the best one. And that's what you get for going out and exploring what's out there in terms of, outside of the regular sort of group of candidates that you might be looking at.
Yeah. The one thing that I was thinking about in terms of specifically Patrick Alvin is he was the assistant GM for Jim Rutherford in the Pittsburgh Penguins.
And he took over briefly after Jim left.
Yeah. I guess there's two schools of thought with that, which is on one hand, this person and how you work well together.
Yeah.
But, it's hard to not think about how the Montreal Canadiens have built their team so far up front and have really done, gone bent over backwards to make sure that there are as many opposing voices. I mean, for crying out loud, Jeff Gorton's from Boston. They hired a Bostonian as their executive vice president of hockey operations. And of course, we know president of hockey operations, just executive vice president in name only.
Yeah.
Because the president's Jeff Molson and he owns the team. And so I think that it's good. I think that, somebody needs to break the seal in terms of bringing in more European general managers, visible minority general managers, women, all the rest of it. Somebody needs to be breaking that seal. But at the same time, it wasn't like, he went to Frölunda and said, all right, I'm hiring the GM out of Frölunda. Or something like this. He's taking a voice that was already part of his team for many, many years. Yeah,
but I mean, Jarmo Kekalainen was the same thing, right? The first European GM.
Right.
He didn't just, grab a flight from Helsinki to North America and jump down and say, okay, I'm going to start running a team.
Yeah.
He scouted in Ottawa. He was an assistant GM for a long time. Yeah. I mean, you do have to sort of, you have to kind of learn the business over here as well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you're going to go to Frölunda and take their GM, or you're going to go to, IFK Helsinki or Jokerit or whatever, then you take them and you say, okay, well, come on, we'll integrate you. We'll start you in the process.
Yeah.
See how it's the same with, and I really applaud the guys like the Joe Sakic's and the Rob Blakes and the guys like that who were players, but came in and were willing to do the work. Because there's a lot of ex-players that come in and just want to kind of, they just want to have an office and stuff. But Bill Guerin did the work.
Yeah.
He worked.
Yeah.
And those guys, and they've got enough money for their grandchildren's children to be okay.
Yeah.
But they actually went in and did the work.
Yeah, on ice leadership skills normally involves punching people in the face when there are faces to be punched, and office leadership skills involves no punching in the face, but much less punching in the face, I would say.
Metaphorically speaking.
Metaphorically punching in the face.
Right.
Yeah, having never worked in an office in my entire life.
But you've built a few, probably.
I have actually built a few, yes. I've built a few offices, that's true. So finally, before we get off the Vancouver Canucks, where do you think that they're heading? Do you think that this is helpful to them? Where do you think that they're heading?
Well, I mean, the hiring of Bruce Boudreau may be the one that dictates more of this than anything, right?
Yeah.
It's interesting. I watched their game last night against Edmonton. Edmonton had 47 shots. Spencer Martin, who everybody thought was maybe more suspect than prospect, was outstanding again.
Yeah.
They've got Yaroslav Halak still. They've got obviously Thatcher Demko.
Yeah.
So I think they're building in the right direction. But like I say, I don't know where it's going to go. I don't know how it's going to all play out, because smart people do dumb things.
Yeah.
So they may do a bunch of dumb things.
Yeah.
However, like I said, I think that the idea that they're getting the best of a certain segment of the hockey world, I think speaks very well for them.
Yeah.
I think it's a good omen.
Yeah. Market inefficiency.
Right.
Yeah. That's what us nerdy guys call it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. And regressing to the mean or whatever.
Yes. PDO.
I know what PDO is.
Okay.
You think this is my first rodeo, or what do you think? Come on.
Canada's Olympic team has 16 players that are 30 or older. They also have more than 4,500 games of NHL experience.
Yep.
Is this a winning formula?
It'll be interesting. It will be interesting because
will there be any broken hips?
Yeah. Will there be team issued walkers? No, it's interesting because the U.S. went completely
more catheters per player than any other team.
Okay, you just had to take it one too far, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah. Okay.
I did. Someone's laughing.
Yeah. So it's interesting because the U.S., as we know, went in completely different direction, which will be really interesting to watch. What I would worry about with this team is that you've got 16 guys who are over 30, 3 guys who are in college, and 1 guy who's in major junior hockey.
Right.
That's 20 of your guys out of 25 right there.
Yeah.
What players normally carry teams?
Players in their prime normally.
Correct. Yeah. Players in the 23 to 27 age group.
Yeah. You can stretch it to 30, but yeah.
Yeah, 16 plus 4 is 20. That leaves 5 of those guys.
Yeah.
Now, it's a short tournament.
Yep.
Everybody was saying, I had people say on Twitter, well, I'm glad Connor Bedard's not there. Well,
I saw that
do you want a 16-year-old Connor Bedard, or do you want a 36-year-old Adam Cracknell?
Yeah.
I'll take the 16-year-old Connor Bedard. Sorry. Yeah. I'll take Caden Gooley on that blue line.
Yeah.
I'll take Mason McTavish, which they did.
Yeah.
I'll take Kent Johnson.
Yeah.
I would have liked to have seen them integrate a few more of those guys, but you can only go with what you have and what you have available to you. Yeah. And it's very clear that Shane Doan, who, it should be pointed out, scored 28-year goals in the NHL as a 39-year-old.
Yeah.
Believe that experience is the way to go.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody knows who's going to be good and bad in this tournament. Do they? Do we? I think the Czechs are going to be amazing.
Yeah.
I think the Czechs are going to be really good. I think Sweden's going to be awful.
Right.
Interesting. Who's going to be their goalie? Who's going to be their goalie? Who's going to be Canada's goalie? Is it going to be Devin Levi? Devin Levi, it's probably going to be Edward Pasquale, who was one of the best goalies in the KHL last year.
Yeah.
But is it going to be Devin Levi, who has been lights out in U.S. college hockey this year?
Yeah.
Lights out. Yeah. He is putting together a historic season. Save percentage is .950. He's got 9 shutouts in 24 games.
Yeah.
I don't know. I suppose they're going to figure that out. I would assume that the number 1 spot goes to Edward Pasquale, and then either
it's his to lose.
Yeah, and then the backup is either Levy or Matt Tompkins.
Yeah,
who's playing Beer Garden. He's in Sweden, anyways. But yeah,
the goalie situation specifically,
it's interesting. They
interested me.
Well, it's interesting, and I'm just gonna. I'll let you talk. But it's my podcast, so I get to talk. It's interesting because for all of that experience they have, the 4,000 games, They got three NHL games among their 3 goalies, and
all of them are Eddie Pasquale.
And Edward Pasquale has all 3 of them.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
I felt that it was interesting that they didn't take Devin Dubnyk, and they didn't take it for.
So did Devin Dubnyk.
Yeah. Well, they didn't take him for lack of games, and because he hasn't played much, right?
Yeah, but Eric Stahl played 4 games too.
Right.
I get there's not a total equivalency there.
So, well, what I was thinking about was the old fogies game, the alumni game between Montreal and Boston back in 2011. I think it was the Winter Classic, and so they had an alumni game. Anyways, Jose Theodore went into net, and the only guy that scored any goals against him was Ray Bourque. Now, the thing that I find interesting about that is that especially NHL players, their shots don't tend to get all that much worse after post-retirement. Their skating gets worse, their stick handling gets worse, but a shot is muscle memory. Can you rip it a few times? These guys a lot of them are still playing beer league. Anyways, there's a funny anecdote where apparently because nobody could score on Theodore, Don Cherry said to him, who's the coach of the Boston Bruins, said to him, listen, if you want to play like that, then just go sign back in the NHL. But he hadn't played in about 2-3 years.
Right.
And so a position that lends itself to inactivity, so to speak, is goaltending, in my opinion, because so much of it relies more on your ability to read the play, your ability at positioning, and you can overcome your athletic deficiencies. I mean, look at Craig Anderson and how he's managed to keep his career afloat, despite the fact that it's been like 8 years now that we've seen his athletic deficiencies, right?
Yeah.
But his play reading and his puck reading and all the rest of it. So it did.
And Mike Smith, I mean, he's not good because he can't stay healthy, not because he's not good.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I did think that it was bizarre to leave Devin Dubnyk out, especially like you wouldn't just take a flyer on him. It seemed bizarre.
Yeah, it was. I thought it was real strange too. And so did Devin Dubnyk. I talked to him yesterday.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, I got masks done and everything. And he was getting all the gear and he was
Those
going
aren't
through all
cheap.
Did you see the picture I posted?
I did. They're beautiful.
Yeah, they're really nice.
Yeah.
And like the gear and everything, and he was doing all the protocols and he was filling out all the paperwork, and it was all seemed to be trending that way.
Yeah.
Although he said, nobody made me any promises, but it certainly seemed like that's the way it was going.
Yeah.
And then they just said, well, we're just not comfortable. You've only played 4 games. And so I guess, I mean, I probably would have taken him.
Yeah.
I mean, their extra goalie is Justin Pogge. I mean, I wouldn't have taken him as the extra guy for the taxi squad. I mean, you're not going to do that to Devin Dubnyk. You're probably going to, if you're taking
But
Devin
maybe you
Dubnyk,
ask him.
Yeah, no, I spoke to him. I think I know where his head was at.
All right.
I think if you're taking Devin Dubnyk, you're taking him either as you're taking him as number 1 or 2.
Yeah.
And you get over there and you figure out who's gonna make the decision for you.
Mm-hmm.
And then and if it's Devin Dubnyk in net, you ride with him. If not, he's your backup, and either Devin Levi or whoever else they would have picked would have been number 1.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have seen a Devin tandem.
Yeah, and I mean that's exactly what my thought is, which is that you would think that there'd be a very high ceiling in terms of Dubnyk's ability to perform at this level comparative to the other 2.
I don't know. I haven't seen either of them play ever.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's. I know everybody's bummed out because the NHL's not there, and I'm among those who is bummed out about that.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun to watch. I'm engaged. I'm interested.
Absolutely.
I'm interested. I'm really interested in seeing how the U.S. team does. I'm really, really interested. That team is the one that intrigues me the most in this whole tournament.
Because I want to just end off the international chat and the goalie chat on one specific thing.
Yep.
One of my favorite things to see in international hockey over the years was watching like Abisher playing on Team Switzerland at like 80 years old and watching Cristobal Huey. And you're like, that guy's still alive.
Yeah.
And then there he is just doing wonders for Team France. And you've got to wonder if Devin Dubnyk could have been that
He could
David
have.
Abisher, or I forgot Abisher's first name for a second.
David
Abisher or Cristobal Huey as that guy that was retired and
just keep going back to those Montreal guys, eh?
David
Abisher, didn't he play for Montreal as well?
Oh, he might have.
Yeah.
I think I associate him as Colorado.
And of course, Devin Dubnyk was in the Montreal Canadiens organization very, very briefly as well.
Yeah, he was a
It's interesting because you talk about those guys like Abisher and who's the other guy?
Huey.
It's weird because a lot of the European guys, when they put on that sweater of their country, like everybody talks about how when you put on the Canadian sweater, some of these guys in Europe become monsters.
Yeah.
Like
that's where the Dominator got his nickname.
I covered the, maybe people get tired of me saying I covered the Leafs for the Toronto Star at one point. And I always thought
for who?
For the Toronto Star, Canada's #1 newspaper. And I always thought that, and they had Robert Reichel for 4 years. And I thought, you know what? If there was some way that the Leafs could change their uniform to the Czech Republic uniform, like just put that uniform on, Robert Reichel would be the MVP of the league.
Yeah.
Because Robert Reichel, you put him in international competition, he's a monster.
Yeah.
Pay him $4 million and put him in the NHL, and he's not so much.
Not so much. Yes. Yeah. All right, Ken.
Yes.
You're the GM of a contending team.
Yes, I am. No, I'm not. Wait a minute.
I know if I was the GM, it certainly would not be a contending team at very least. I'm the GM of the Toronto single A under 14. Who do you go harder for at the trade deadline? Would it be Paul Stastny, Dustin Brown, somebody else?
Joe Pavelski.
Well,
I mean, Dallas is, I think they've still got their sights set on the playoffs.
I think LA still has some hope as well.
Yeah, I don't think either LA or Winnipeg's going to make it.
Yeah.
Like they're mucking around there.
Yeah,
And I mean, Winnipeg's just, the bottom's falling out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Interesting.
Like Dustin Brown or Paul Stastny. That's a really good one because
you came up with it.
Which is why I thought of it. But I mean, Paul Stastny, if you're looking for someone that you can put in your top 6 and make it be a potential difference maker at both ends of the ice.
Yeah.
That's a pretty tantalizing guy to get.
Yeah.
But if you're looking for a guy who can grind through those playoffs and you're looking for a guy who can come in and sit down when you're down 3-1 in a series and look at the young guys in the room and go, don't worry about it, guys.
Yeah.
We've got this. We're good. We were down 3-0 to San Jose. We came back and went and won the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Dustin Brown would be a perfect third, fourth line guy for a really contending team.
Yeah.
Just a bugger to play against, plays hard, and still is capable of being that guy that could score in quadruple overtime.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For me, it would probably be Dustin Brown just because of the pedigree and everything. But I would love to have either one of those guys on my team. But if it came down to it, I mean, I'd give up a first round pick and a top prospect for Joe Pavelski if he was available.
Yeah.
I would do it. I would do
Absolutely.
it. I would absolutely do that without batting an eyelash. If I'm going for the Stanley Cup,
yeah,
because he could be your number 1 center, he could be your number 2 center, he could be your number 3 center.
Yeah.
All in the same game.
Yeah.
So, anyways, yeah.
If I want a guy that's going to bounce in and out of Winnipeg like a beach ball, I go for Paul Stastny. If I want a guy that doesn't know which end of the water bottle to use, I use Dustin Brown.
Okay.
No, but in all seriousness, my concern with Dustin Brown is that he becomes this year's Nick Foligno, right? When the Leafs brought in Nick Foligno last year. Pay a handsome penny for him, but he's older and he gets hurt and he doesn't quite perform to expectation. But on the flip side of that, with Paul Stastny, one of the things that I'm always asking myself when it comes to a contender is who's your team's Nick Bonino? Because when Pittsburgh won and Nick Bonino was their third line center, and I think that year he scored 30 goals in the NHL, like that's That's huge. Like that, you know, you always talk about top two guys on the team, right? Tavares, Matthews. But look at the playoffs last year. Tavares gets injured and
Matthews goes dry. Yeah.
But that's because Matthews is the only guy left, right? I'm not necessarily throwing this at Matthews' shoulders, but my point is that I'm always asking myself, who is the Nick Bonino? Who is the guy that it's like, you know what? Crosby didn't have the best game today. Malkin didn't have the best game today, but this guy is going to take your team, you know, over the top and always be able to be there and be able to produce and, of course, be on both ends of the ice. And to your point, Pavelski is that guy.
Oh, he's so that guy. He's so that guy.
He's Nick Bonino plus, right?
Well, yeah, he's Nick Bonino on steroids.
No, that's not an allegation.
He's on steroids. Not saying that. Not saying that.
Yeah.
But
we at Hockey Unfiltered have not learned anything of Nick Bonino's.
To me, if Dallas falls off the map here, and they're out of the playoffs, like this guy is, forget about everybody else.
Yeah.
If I'm a contender.
Yeah.
And even if I'm loaded at center, because you can play him on the wing, I am saying
you sell the farm.
That's the guy I want.
Yeah.
And you know what? I am willing to mortgage the future for that guy.
Yeah.
I am absolutely, totally willing to mortgage the future and overpay to get that guy for 2 months.
Yeah.
Or 3 months or whatever.
Yeah. Before we go on to our last question, I meant to bring this up earlier and I didn't put it in my notes. It's just brutal. I can't believe that I did that. But when I was looking at Pittsburgh's
we're back to this
advanced stats, you know who had really good underlying numbers? The Edmonton Oilers, top 3 in the league on most of the stats that I looked up.
Doesn't really help your argument, bud.
No, but what it does suggest
really
is that they're doing something right.
Yeah, lots. They're doing a lot right.
Yeah.
The last 2 games, they've done some stuff right.
Yeah.
They've won them both.
Yeah.
That's doing things right. But
scoring more goals and having them scored against you.
But then, you know, you look and when they started 16-5-1, and a lot of that was built on a power play that was like possibly the best power play we've ever seen in the history of the NHL.
Yeah.
And penalty killing that was almost as good.
Yeah.
And those really fell off.
Yeah.
Those really, really fell off. And I mean, it's goaltending stupid. You know, it's goaltending.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways.
All right. Final question. Keith Yandle became the NHL's all-time Ironman last night when he played his 965th consecutive game. However, Yandle was a healthy scratch in 3 of 6 playoff games the Florida Panthers played against the Tampa Bay Lightning last spring. Phil Kessel, on the other hand, has played 941 consecutive regular season games. Who is...
And 72... No, here we are.
And 76 straight playoff games. Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
For a total of 1,117. In your opinion, who is the NHL's actual Iron Man?
Phil Kessel. You gotta be in the lineup when it matters most.
Yeah.
Don't you?
Yeah.
You know?
Kessel is... I talked to Asa, my strength and conditioning coach friend, about Kessel.
Wait a minute.
His name's Asa.
You have a strength and conditioning
I've got
coach.
a friend who's a strength and conditioning coach.
You have a you have a friend. He doesn't work with you.
No.
Oh, okay, because I was just going to say, you know.
Well, he does a little bit.
Maybe you should get your money back.
You see, the trouble is that
that's awful.
We do it wrong.
Awful.
We do it wrong because I do work out with him. All right. I would work out with him once a week. Obviously, we're in lockdown again. But because we're friends, we go out for lunch afterwards.
Okay.
And so I was calling it Thursdays. I was calling curry and curls.
Okay, good.
But anyways, so that might be negating things a little bit.
Right.
But he does train because I coach goal. Right. And he does train then some of my students. So there actually is crossover. We do work together and then we'll chat about this player or that player that we're whatever. But anyways, I was saying that, you know, this one kid, you know, and talking about how I didn't think he was overweight, but I didn't think that was really holding him back. And what Asa said to me was he said Phil Kessel is a guy that throughout his whole career, people have been telling him to lose weight, but yet he is so optimized as an athlete that's just such what his body is, that if he were to lose weight, it would make him a suboptimal athlete. And I of course take this to heart.
Yeah. Hey, listen to him, honey. Listen to him. He told me not to lose weight.
Yeah. But my point is Kessel just such a freak?
He is.
He's just such a freak.
He's a freak. He's a freak. Somebody, he played for the Leafs, I can't remember who it is, it told me that you go in the gym and basically all he does is wrist curls, but he wrist curls like 700 pounds in each hand. You know, like it's insane.
Yeah.
What he does, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't get hurt. Doesn't go to places where you get hurt, which is part of it.
But it's still hockey.
Yeah. But part of it is, you know, he doesn't go to the dirty places to get hurt.
Yeah.
But I mean, still, you're playing in a league with the biggest, strongest, most physical players in the world. And even if you're not a physical guy, you got to be tough and you've got to be resilient. And to me, I don't know, like we're getting off topic here. The topic is who's the NHL's Iron Man, Keith Yandel or Phil Kessel? Well, I mean, Keith Yandel didn't play three playoff games last year. He was a healthy scratch for 3 playoff games. I think part of being the Iron Man is not only staying healthy, but being a good enough player to be able to be put in the lineup every single game. And for 3 of the 6 games, playoff games the Panthers played last year, they didn't see Keith Yandel as that guy.
Yeah.
Whereas Phil Kessel, again, going back to the 16 and 17 Penguins.
Yeah.
I mean, there were people who said he should have won the Conn Smythe Trophy.
Yeah.
There were people who argued that Phil Kessel was a legitimate contender for the Conn Smythe Trophy. Crosby won it one year, Malcolm won it the other, right?
Correct.
I can't remember which.
They're interchangeable.
I think Malkin won it the first year and Crosby won it the second year, but I can't remember. But there were people who said
Crosby won it the year that Kessel that people were arguing that Kessel should win it.
Right, exactly.
That's what I do remember.
Yeah. So, anyways, yeah.
To me, I'm going to take the opposite approach. I'm going to say Keith Yandel, and the big reason why is because as a defenseman, he does so much more. He has to do so much more physicality.
Yep.
There is so much more opportunity for him to be injured. There's so much more opportunity for him to be suspended.
Yeah.
There's so much more, because a mistimed hit is a suspension, as it should be. I'm not arguing against that, but I'm just saying that there are suspensions that take place even without malicious intent. And Keith Yandel is in a much more likely situation to be in that. And so beyond just the health, which is, of course, incredibly impressive, there is the fact that, there are other ways to be taken out of the game. And so I think that that's a really impressive aspect to Keith Yandel's Iron Man streak. And, maybe he should be a Lady Byng consideration for that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That works. That works. You know what else is impressive about Keith Yandel's Iron Man streak?
Yeah.
The Flyers have been hammered by COVID this year.
Right.
Hammered.
Yeah.
I think they've had 17 guys on the COVID protocol list. They've had guys who replaced guys who had COVID who got COVID.
Yeah.
Max Willman and a couple of other guys like that. How did he not get hit?
Yandel's walking around with a Lysol spray everywhere he goes.
How did he not just get a positive test one day and it's like, oh, well, I'm sorry, you got to sit out for a week, whatever.
Yeah.
It's remarkable that he's managed to do that.
Yeah.
And so hats off to him.
Yeah.
He's the Iron Man. We know that, but I just thought it was not an argument, but a debate worth having.
It is an argument / debate worth having. I agree with you.
Yeah.
Completely agree with you. Ken, before we get out of here, anything else you want to touch on?
Aaron Dell should be suspended for a long time.
Yes, I agree with you.
It's a repetitive pattern of behavior.
Yeah.
He's done this a lot. He's done this kind of stuff a lot.
Yeah.
But he hasn't been suspended for it, so they won't be able to use his rap sheet against him.
Right.
But he should be suspended for a long time.
Yeah.
He took out Drake Batherson for no reason last night.
Yeah.
With an egregious, that wasn't even a reckless play. That was a downright dirty play. And it took a young star in this league who was going to be in the All-Star game, and now he's out for a long time. He should sit for a long time.
And this is the fact, is that Batherson was getting away from Aaron Dell.
Yeah, he wasn't even. Yeah, he was trying to avoid
moving
him.
away from Aaron Dell,
Yeah.
and so therefore he is on a balanced trajectory of leaning away from Aaron Dell.
Nowhere near the blue paint either.
Nowhere near the blue paint, and Aaron Dell
yeah.
hit him.
Yeah.
And so this isn't a situation where we've seen other goaltenders hit people as they're coming around behind the net, and the person's coming towards him, and the goalie's there, and we've seen the goalie decide, screw it, I'm going to take him out.
Yeah.
Right? This is a situation where Batherson is actually vulnerable specifically because he's trying not to hit Aaron Dell, and Aaron Dell thought, no, I'm going to take him out. I'm going to make him pay for avoiding me, which is what you're supposed to do.
Right.
And so I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
Aaron Dell should be absolutely suspended. It was tough to watch.
Yep.
It was tough to watch. And look, you know, I come from the place of goaltenders where they were absolute pieces of garbage.
Right.
I shouldn't say we were absolute pieces of garbage, right?
In the sense of the treatment you received, you mean?
No,
or?
in the sense of what we would do to players standing in our crease and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
I got a few tricks I could share, but
I hate guys like you. I hate even they even play beer league still.
I know.
Like, no, I can stand in front of the net. No, I'm allowed to. This is my ice. I'm okay here.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyways, but this is my point. Even I come from that era.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you that's egregious. That's bad. That is
really
not
was.
That is not to misuse this phrase, willing combatants.
Yeah. Right.
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 So
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think that's about it.
I think that's about it. Well, thank you so much for sticking around to the end of this episode. Please subscribe to us on YouTube, subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts. And if you want this podcast directly in your inbox and you want all of Ken's writing directly in your inbox, subscribe to Hockey Unfiltered, the Substack, which is kencampbell.substack.com. Reviews are appreciated. They help more people find this show. They keep us at the top of the charts. Likes, whatever you like. And we'll talk to you next week.